What if we move back a little more so like we're both more centered? Okay. Now you can just like look at me sometimes or look at the camera sometimes. Really up to you.
Antu, I love you.
Antu, I love you too. It's fine.
Okay.
Can we move back a little bit, please?
Sounds good.
Okay, this is good.
All right.
What are your most controversial entrepreneurial ideas or hot takes?
That the customer does not know what they want. So
yeah.
I build what I know that the customer wants and put it in front of them. And a lot of people don't agree with that. They believe in putting the product out to customers, iterating on the product on a certain weekly schedule or bi-weekly schedule and pushing out new features. I like to get it done once and done right and build in stealth.
So you believe that once you know what you're missing from your life, you think that other customers will be completely on board with the same idea?
Exactly, yeah. I build tools that I would use personally, the pain points I've experienced, and I hope that other people will use it. And in the past, my previous track record shows I've had an ability to recognize those patterns and capitalize on them.
I know you have the domain assets.com. What do you think the fundamental value of assets.com?
So for me, it has to do with a lot of trust. Getting a client to trust us with their entire financial life, right? Essentially dictates their quality of life. So buying assets.com sets me aside from even a startup. I don't want them to think of it as a startup. Intrinsically, they might think it's been, a thing for 20 years. From a marketing standpoint and customer conversion standpoint, it was the equivalent to 1.5 years of marketing costs. So I get the benefit of having this domain name. And the break-even cost, just from a marketing perspective, is 18 to 24 months, which is great.
Okay.
As well as it's a tangible asset, and I have this vision for the product that I put $1.5 million towards a domain name that has tangible value, that can appreciate in value.
But
I can still liquidate
sell
it
it
exactly,
higher.
and I can go to an investor. They can help fund the software aspect, but I like to take calculated risks and hedge my lead investor and my earliest investors. It's setting up a nice ecosystem for the future.
I know you're super into entrepreneurship and you've started several businesses before, but you still care about school a lot and you think that there is value in doing well in these courses that you're taking, and you're also planning to do law school in the future. So why do you think that is such an important part of your life?
For me, I never valued education until there was a catalyst moment when I turned 18. And not everything is about money. Learning new perspectives and being able to think, I think it's invaluable, honestly. It also is a metric for me to hold myself accountable to. Just getting in a routine, honestly, is even more important than getting the good grades. But it's not healthy to worry about grades and only be a high performer for grades, and then if you go into the workforce, you're still going for those, you're trying to get an A in a job, but that doesn't really exist. So there's a healthy balance to it, but it's because I want to never also close doors. I think that's very important, is to keep as many options as you can available.
Tell us when you got into the eTower.
I got in last semester, so this is my first and last semester actually living in the tower, but super grateful for it.
What is the biggest thing that you've learned from the community so far?
To push my limits. I think I always set boundaries for myself so that I don't get myself burnt out, but I've seen every single person going past their limits, and seeing what happens after that is kind of like magic, and it's just been really nice to see myself grow and redefine what my limits are.
What has the community members pushed you to do to push past your own limits?
Seeing everybody just stay up late and work, have calls on top of calls on top of calls, network with every single person that they meet, be passionate in the way that they talk about their ideas, and encourage me to do the same, and providing that uplifting support to do the same with my own venture and with my own life. I don't think they're intentionally doing it too. They don't even know that they're doing it. The best part is they're not they don't have anything but in good intentions for me, and I feel the genuineness here, and that's why I feel it can be so open. this is like the first time I've met a group of people where I feel like every single person wants the best for each other and wants the other person to succeed, and it is really a family. And that it's not just like saying family for the sake of saying family, it's more like it actually putting that into practice.
I also talked about rooming.
Yes.
So can you please elaborate more on that?
I don't even know where to start. Antu's, I never have met somebody like her. It's just like, she just wants the best for every single person in her life, and at the same time she wants the best for herself. She keeps pushing herself, and like, she doesn't get enough credit for what she does, because like, what she has done for me and so many other people, I can't even put words to it. It's just like, every interaction I am better because of her. Like, it's just, I want to be where she is entrepreneurially, personally. Like, she's just, I can't say enough good things. I've accelerated so much in myself and my venture because of living with her. Mm-hmm. I don't think I'd get that experience with any other person at Babson.
Hey Teo, so I know that you do a lot of content creation on TikTok, Instagram, and other social media platforms. So what's one piece of content that's the most memorable to you that you've done with eTower members?
When a bunch of the eTower guys and girls, we went to Arizona for Eric Lindholm's birthday, and he took us on like the craziest adventures. We're like, okay, we might have a few more hours to sneak in a quick hike. Are you guys ready? We go to this canyon full of quarries, like bunch of quarries jumping down into this canyon. And he's like, okay, we got a 4-mile hike. It should take us 2 hours. We'll be out of here before the sun sets, no problem. Little did we know, this was like probably like a 4 or 5 hour hike. And we were hiking in the dark, completely lost, with little signal. But those type of experiences, near-death experiences, one could say, are definitely the most memorable and what I'll remember when I think back on these pieces of content and stories.
Well, what inspirations do you draw from the people within the tower?
There's just so many members I'm thinking of right now. Jake Doggett, for example, he was creating amazing content around his car channel in just different styles, right? And you can pull from one person's like storytelling aspect, another person's like cinematic, another person, editing. I think Jake Ross creates like amazing pieces of content, and he has really found out like how to develop a team. Pretty much anyone in the tower that's like ready to step up into like a leadership role on the e-board, in the marketing role. They're always willing and always like teaching me new things about marketing and content.
Okay, Jake, so if you were to do eTower all over again, what would you do differently?
So during my junior year, I was basically, I probably would have spent more time like with the eTower community. And I probably would have wished I started sooner, but I don't like necessarily know how like realistic that would be. I think, you know, my journey was the way it was for a reason, so that's why I sort of keep it the way it is.
What would your advice for us be?
I would find a way to make community stuff work, make that a priority within like eTower as a whole, but like your friends outside of eTower and your business, like find ways to balance between everything and make each of them a priority, because college is as much of like an experience as it is like an opportunity to like take chances. Just say yes to more things, like go out and like, be spontaneous, be active, and like, you know, going out to do stuff, like whether it be taking a weekend trip or like anything like that, or you know, and also taking chances in terms of like professional stuff as well. Like if you have, you know, a business idea or like something like that, or something like that you want to share it with the community, and like look for opportunities to pursue stuff like that together.
Again, I know that you're graduating in a few weeks. And what's the most exciting thing that's waiting for you next?
Being independently, like living on my own. I'll have 4 kids, but like, you know, not being like, I'll have it like it's like my own responsibility to like take care of myself, take care of like those around me, and without not having the structure. So as much as it's like a challenge in some cases, it's also like an opportunity.
Excited for you.
Thank you.
Hey Jose, so I know that you're working on BYOB with a co-founder from eTower right now. So can you please tell us about what you're working on right now?
Yeah, so first BYOB stands for Be Your Own Boss. And the overarching idea is to empower creators to be their own bosses. Just for a little context on the landscape, a content creator's primary source of income is brand deals. So like they're being left by the wayside because these agencies will focus on the top 20% of earners. There's still content creators that are full-time, that are part of these talent management agencies that aren't getting the attention that they deserve. So the value exchange isn't really there. Like, okay, I'm going to give you 30% of my earnings, but I'm not going to really get the value exchange from that, if that makes sense. I've been working in the space for the past like 3-4 years. Everybody that builds software in the space is building specifically for brands, for the people that pay the money, but not the people that have the actual value and distribution. Yeah. And so creators are left on the side in that regard. And so that's kind of where we come in.
Gotcha. What's the most memorable experience you have with eTower members, for example, like this year?
I'll say the serendipity thing. I think my favorite part about eTower is everybody has such an open mind and they're willing to not necessarily try anything, but just experience new things. And so whether it's like, that made me remember of this one time. This is kind of like the epitome for me of like what eTower serendipity means. One of my friends for Swarna, he had just gotten his car. Like he bought a new car. He's like, I'd really like to like drive it down to New York and like break it in. And it was like a Wednesday night or something. Then we had like picked up the car, and I was like, okay, let's go right now. And then he's like, really? And then I was like, yeah. We had a quiz. He like took our finance quiz. We finished it, and then we just started driving at like 2 a.m. to New York. And then we got to New York as the sun was rising. But I think that's kind of the epitome of like eTower. Just doing like really cool stuff with really cool people.
Hey Tino, so yeah, I know you're graduating soon, so first of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Can you tell me about some of the businesses that you've worked on in the past?
So initially, very much focused on F&B related businesses. I started off with opening up bars in Madrid. We had 2 bars to begin with, and then we ramped it up to 4 in very nice locations in Madrid. They were quite successful relatively quickly.
Is it still there today?
It's still there, yeah. And when I came here to Babson, I worked on a couple of other businesses, starting off with something called Undercover. This was a fun, quick thing that we did with, for example, Sam Mandel, who was also on eTower.
So what's like 1 or 2 things that you've learned from like eTower members? I know that your current co-founder is an eTower member.
Well, I mean, it's a bit cheating, but yeah, basically just how to become tech savvy. I was always very dismissive of, stupidly so, yeah. I was always very dismissive of tech and its benefits in business. Not that I wouldn't apply them, but simply because I just didn't have the time for it. I thought I didn't have the time to learn, and I thought that it's not worth it. That's also why I never had a proper website for most of my previous businesses. And yeah, so I would say that's the main thing I got from eTower is just learning that actually tech is very much important. And now we're founding a tech business. So I would say that's the main thing. But then many other things, honestly, and they span from how to do marketing properly to running day-to-day operations. Learned a lot from Steve Asper. He's doing what I was doing before, and so I learned a lot from that as well. Yeah. So a bunch of industry-specific benefits here and there.
And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for setting this up.
Aww. Thank you, Elena. This is so nice.